You said I don't need much, just someone who stays. But I heard the quiet in the words you didn't say. You never begged for forever or a grand design, but somehow your silence matched perfectly with mine.
You weren't looking for a savior, didn't need the world to change, just a touch that felt like truth, and love that didn't feel strange. I came with no promises, no plans to rewrite your past, but baby I stayed, and I stayed, and I gave you something built to last.
I gave you more than you asked for, more than a late night kite calls and open doors. You wanted peace, I brought you fire, a slow burning, never tired kind of desire. You never asked for hearts to soar,
but I gave you skies and something more. I became your calm, your storm, your core. I gave you more than you asked for. You weren't chasing movie moments, just a love that wouldn't fade. You didn't want a pedestal, just honesty quietly displayed. But every look you gave me spoke a language of its own. So I built a home in your silence and made sure you never felt alone. I gave you more than you asked for, not just words but a soul explorer. You asked for space, I brought you stars. I traced your pain and kissed your scars. You wanted less, I gave you hope. Taught you safe, could still feel bold. You thought love was a locked front door. I showed you more than you asked for. You said I'm hard to love, I've been wrong before, but I whispered back, you're who I'd fight for.
no need to ask, no need to try. I was already yours, just waiting nearby. I gave you more than you asked for, more than comfort, more than cure. You wanted quiet, I brought a symphony, every note a vow, every line a memory. You never dreamed love could feel this sure.
Now you're holding more than you asked for. So when you wonder why I stayed so long, it's 'cause loving you just felt like home all along.
You never needed to ask me to adore. I was always gonna give you more than you ask for. You didn't need the moon or the sky, you just needed someone who wouldn't say goodbye. You didn't dream of castles or crowns, just someone who'd stay when the world lets you down. You said don't fix me, just be near. I've built my life on doubt and fear, but love I didn't come to rearrange. I came to love you through the change. You didn't ask for grand displays, no fireworks, no saving grace, but every time you looked away, I saw a heart just begging to stay. So I gave you more than you asked for, more than comfort, more than cure. You wanted silence, brought song. You thought you'd break, but I proved you wrong. You didn't pray for something bold, but I brought warmth inside the cold. You didn't knock, I opened the door and gave you more than you asked for.
You didn't believe it meant to be. You just wanted space to breathe. But I gave you time without a clock, and love that never had to talk.
No list of needs, no terms to meet, but till I showed up hard on sleeve. You said, just be here if you can, and I became your softest land. I gave you more than you asked for, not just a touch, but a soul to adore. You wanted quiet, I gave you peace, the kind that grows and doesn't cease. You thought you'd always feel unsure, but now you know what love is for. You never asked me to love you more, but I did,
more than you asked for.
You didn't ask me to understand, but I learned your language and I am. You didn't say you needed right to hold, to like. I gave you more than you asked for, more than the world outside could afford. You gave me wish, I gave you roar, built you a heart to come home for. Not just moments, not just days, but a love that never fades away. You didn't ask, but I swore. So here we are, no scripts, no drawer, just love that keeps giving more than you asked for.
I came in like the sunrise, lighting up your guarded sky. You were quiet, you were careful, love had passed you by. Didn't promise you the moon or a fairy tale to live, but every beat inside me knew I had more to give. You wanted soft, I brought the storm. You needed space, I built you home. Wasn't what you thought love was before. Baby, I'm more than you asked for. More than a vow, more than just kisses when the world pulls you down. More than a whisper in the dark of your doubt. I'm the fight, I'm the fall, I'm the silence and sound. You asked for a heart, I gave you my soul. Not just a part, I gave you the whole. You never saw it coming, but now you're sure I'm more than you asked for. We danced in the wreckage, we rose through the rain. You loved me through questions, I held through the pain. No perfect lines or movie scenes, just morning coffee and in-between dreams. I don't say much, but you always know. When my eyes say stay, I'll never go. Love ain't always clean, but it's worth the war. And baby, I'm more than you asked for. More than a name, more than just warmth in a world gone insane. More than just sparks when the fire feels tame. I'm the truth, I'm the tears, I'm the joy and the flame.
You reached for the light, I became your shore. Now every night you crave me more. You thought you needed less, but love I swore I'd pay more than you asked for. I'm not just a chapter, I'm the whole book, not just a glance. Take a deeper look. You were fine on your own, but now you know some hearts were made to overflow. More than you asked for, more than a dream, more than a shadow of what love might mean. I'm the scar and the star, the unseen in between. You reached for a moment, I gave you a scene, a life for forever, a wide open door. And still I keep loving you more than you asked for. More than you whisper, more than you pray. I'm the love that quietly stayed. More than you asked for. You walked in, heart half closed, said love was something you'd outgrown. But baby, I saw through the doubt. You needed calm, not just the fireworks and shouts you never asked for forever. You just wanted a hand to hold, but I brought you shelter in the storm, a safe place when the nights got cold. You said don't promise me stars, just be there when I fall apart. But darling, look who we became, more than sparks, more than a name. I gave you more than you asked for, every tear, every truth, every open door. You thought you just needed healing, but I showed you love worth believing. More than comfort in the dark, I gave you my whole, not just a part. I became your always, not your maybe. More than you asked for, baby. You said you're not good at needing, so I learned the language of breathing. When your silence was louder than cries, I read your soul, not just your eyes. Didn't write you fairy tales, just lay bricks so love prevails. Built us slow, no rush, no war, just peace you never knew before. You said don't give me illusions, so I gave you truth in every fusion. And now look at where we stand, no fear, no mask, just hand in hand. I gave you more than you asked for, not just love, but something to live for. You thought you just needed space, but I brought you stars wrapped in grace. More than passion in the night, I gave you morning's softest light. I became the truth, not your maybe. More than you asked for, baby. And I do it all again, no second guessing. Love you loud, love you quiet, every lesson. You gave me half a heart to start, I returned it whole, a work of art. I gave you more than you asked for, every dream, every shore, every metaphor. You thought that you just needed time, but I gave you a lifetime, line by line. More than warmth in the cold, I gave you stories yet to be told. I became your always, not your maybe. More than you asked for, baby. Ooh. didn't ask for roses every day, or poems written just to make you stay. You never begged for love in shining gold. You just wanted arms to hold when the nights got cold. Ooh. You said, keep it simple, just be real. Don't make a promise you don't feel. But love, I couldn't help but give you more. 'Cause you opened a door I didn't know was there before. You did a world that shouts, just one that listens when the world gets loud. And so I showed up through your quiet storms, with a steady heart, a place that's warm. I gave you more than you asked for, more than waited, more than war. You wanted less, but I saw more, so I gave you a love worth fighting for. Not just I'm here, but I'll never leave. Not just a hand, but the air you breathe. You didn't know what love was for, so I gave you more than you asked for. You never dreamed of dancing in the rain, but I pulled you close and eased the pain. You said I'm fine with that quiet face, but I ripped between and filled the space. You needed time, I gave you mine. You wanted patience, I stood in line. You whispered fears you couldn't name, and I stayed soft, I stayed the same. I gave you more than you asked for, more than safe, more than sure. Thought love was just a chore, till I showed you it could be something more. Not just nights without goodbye, but morning coffee, reasons why. You never said you needed love, but I wrote you more than you asked for. Gave you more than you asked for, more than echoes from a closing door. You asked for space, I gave you flight, wings to rise and roots for night. I gave you time, I gave you grace, a lifetime tapped in a quiet place. You didn't think love could restore, but I gave you more than you asked for. Something fast, you only asked that this won't last, but love, I gave you more than you asked for. You said you just needed someone to care. Didn't ask for the stars, just someone there. But baby, love don't follow simple plans. I brought galaxies and I held your hands. You weren't searching for a fairy tale, no white horse, no perfect trail. Just wanted truth, not grand displays. A love that showed up, stayed through the haze. You didn't ask for every piece of me, but I gave you everyone willingly. You never dreamed of having more, but I saw the cracks and loved you more. I gave you more than you asked for, more than whispers through a closing door. You thought you needed space and time, but I brought you peace, I brought soul. You loved the fragments, made them whole. You never thought you'd feel this sure, but I gave you more than you asked for. promise what you can't keep. So I stayed quiet when you fell asleep, but I prayed your heart would see the light, even when you pushed me out each night. You never asked for morning tea or arms to know when not to speak, but I learned your rhythm, breath and beat, and made your silence feel complete. I gave you more than you asked for, not just love, but the life you were made for. You needed someone not to leave, so I showed you all the ways to believe. Never said you wanted dreams, but I built you a wall from in-betweens. You never begged, you never swore, still I gave you more than you asked for. You wanted real, not perfect lines, so I gave you flaws wrapped in rhymes. You needed home, not fireworks and flights, so I stayed every single night. I gave you more than you asked for, more than timing, more than before. You asked for calm, I brought a flame, the kind that burns but knows your name. You didn't know what love could be, but now you're here right next to me, and every kiss says something more. I'll keep giving more than you asked for. Didn't need to say a word, my heart just knew it's yours preferred. No grand request, no open shore, but baby, I loved you more than you asked for.